Astraltegic.
Hi guys, welcome to Astraltegic. Today we're going to talk about how to address or issue a better solution and response for problem that may come in life. So I divided for 4 different criteria, and because of the language barrier I might not be very accurate with the articulating the exact topic, but I hope that you can feel like what I'm talking about based on my translation. So the first topic will be recognize a problem, recognize an error, or also recognize an opportunity. It's not must be like just one of those areas, but it could be like both. Okay. And then we have the respond, how we respond to what we see. Okay. And then we got how to respond better to what we see, which is more in depth into the kind of research that we need to do. And the 4th element is to be how to be general prepared, and that's basically mean like what you can do before you confront the problem, what kind of information or data you can consume that can help you along the way and can help you to address an issue, and it's sort kind of like help you to address problems, maybe not the most efficient way, but sometimes you just don't have too much time to respond, and that can actually help you. Okay, now let's talk about in depth. So I took different kind of example, martial arts, business, and like just general subject about life. So let's make it interesting. I thought we can start maybe from the back, from the last one, which is how to be general prepared to anything, and that would be whatever a man or a woman should do. And women are slightly different than us. I can think more like a man, so I will go into the man section with this video. If you want to have a better response to error that might happen in life, so you might already need to have some kind of knowledge in martial arts. Men's, in many occasions, everybody get into a fight, whether if it's in school or in a pub or on a trip or anything like that, and you might wanna, you always should get away from problem, but sometimes you can't avoid that. It's just coming at you and you can't do really anything about it. It could be even a terror attack. So it's always need to have some handy tools and know some basic martial arts, at least to some extent and some level. So I highly recommend you learn Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and kickboxing. I think both can really help you. One will help you to managing the distance in boxing. It's very important, and the Jiu-Jitsu, it's very good for situation when you are need to be more defensive and use some techniques that can help you to survive a street fight. So if you are on the ground, a jiu-jitsu practitioner could feel very comfortable on the ground, and for most other people they won't feel comfortable on the ground, because once you're on the ground on your back and you want to throw some punches, you don't have a lot of range that you can go with your hand, because your back is against the floor, right? And knowing jiu-jitsu, even in this kind of situation, there is some, you can grab the person and bring him close to you, or you can do some lock and flip him around. So in jiu-jitsu, the solution is something that you didn't even think about, but it's brilliant martial arts. I highly recommend it. Now, once again, you should avoid from problem, but if you must to address something, at least you need to know how to defend yourself. And jiu-jitsu, I think, is way more effective than boxing in self-defense. In boxing, you can protect yourself like so, going back, but that's need like more accuracy, and sometimes it won't be enough. You know, you can, if you get few bad hits, you can get really damaged. But in jiu-jitsu, you're always trying to close the distance, bring the person to the ground, and then you can start to work it. So it's different martial arts. I think everybody should know both, and I'm not talking about people trying to get professional. So that's a good thing that you should know in general. Another thing, you should have a very good skill to make a research online, YouTube, Google, Reddit community, all those places. You need to have this kind of, I'm not talking about to go them, I'm just talking about to have enough skill to optimize your search when you need to make a research. And now we will jump to the next thing. You know, of course, education, knowing how to manage finance, all this kind of stuff. You should take some courses or have a degree. That's in general, okay? So that's covering the 4 criteria that you talk about, having like sort kind of general preparation for any sort kind of problem. Okay, so the third topic that we're going to cover will be the research that you do before you give your response to the error or to the opportunity. So when we're talking about this is more probably that you can use this kind of method when you have a little bit more time to respond. So in boxing, for example, you're not gonna Google and search, listen, I found the opening of the guy and now I need to throw like a lower hook or uppercut, and because I recognize that those areas in a fraction of a second are open. So obviously making a research before is not good. Maybe a preparation in general is great, and that's pretty much obvious, right? But so this part it will be focusing. So if it's really depending on the problem. So if it's business and you have some problem with the profits, maybe you should try to increase your profits by importing. So then you need to go and make some research about how to import. And then you also need to think about how if you want to be more efficient, it's always better to buy some sample and run some check on your business before you buying bulk. So you can prevent a lot of mistakes by making a research on YouTube and simply typing something like the most common mistake in import. You can most definitely find like 2 or 3 4s that you will do wrong, trust me. And those problems always seems to appear, and even for the experienced one, you're always dealing with problem. Nowadays, for example, and that's a problem, you also should know the timing. Shipment by sea container it's increased dramatically. Like it's never been anything like that I can remember in the past 20 years. But this pandemic done some real damage to imports. So now some local businesses can recognize the opportunity and start to manufacture like a local production. It also might be risky because in 1 year or 2, when the big shipment company will be more organized, so the price shipping will start to reduce, and then you might find yourself stuck with a factory that you can't actually compete with the price in China. But that also depends exactly on what kind of factory you want to invest in. So I noticed that there is some products that were not available in the market because also some of the raw materials coming from China, and then that's create a mess. Okay, let's move to the next. Just to say that everybody have like a different eyes, and I think you can actually practice the sort kind of noticing stuff in martial arts or other, but it's also have to do something to do with the IQ that you have, because I remember that psychotechnical exam back in the 90s, like I had a very high score, and actually they asked me twice to become army pilot back in 1997, even though I was really bad at study stuff in school, but I was pretty good with those exam. And technically what it's mean is that you need to recognize like a pattern. Nowadays they do it also in IQ test that I found online, so I think it didn't change as much. And then you need to address what you did recognize. And I think the biggest problem of business owner will be that they cannot recognize what's going wrong, or maybe cannot recognize it at times. So you need to always try and try to look for errors. It needs to be like a practice. A little bit paranoid, let's put it this way. You need to be a little bit paranoid about what can go wrong, especially when everything go well. It's better to do it when everything go well, so then you can address the problem that when she's come and much earlier. So for example, now I have a business in the shop that even that the manpower quality at the family business at this moment is not so good, and the employees are not insanely amazing. They are nice people, but they are not fully, they don't have this like recognizing the problem and addressing the problem. So I needed to issue a specific person that he will do a specific job. He's not even doing the sales at the shops, the chain store that we have. He will just organize the stock, make sure that the stock is full, and he will make the order. He doesn't deal with sale, and this is something that never happened in the family business, and that's something pretty much new that I'm running. But at least I'm trying, and I will have like a much better feedback once we're done. So that's like a real life example of from today. Today I decided about giving this job to a person. and he's also very, it seems to be pretty much guy with a pretty much high IQ, but that's not always indicate that he's going to solve the problem. If he might have a high IQ, but he could be like extremely lazy. So it's not always the case. I should and I always need to work on him. And one of the things I did learn from Valuetainment, and that was a wonderful lesson, is that you need to be able to predict the behavior of your partner. So let's say that this employee is sort kind of my partner because he's working in my organization. So I need to make sure that I can predict his behavior. For some people I can predict it, and then those people will get like more authorities. Unfortunately, at this current state, I don't have the high quality people that I used to have 2 years ago before the pandemic, because some people took advantage of the pandemic to study a profession, and now they are also business owners. Some of my sellers became business owners, some get into pregnant, so things happen, and we need to try and recover right now and find the people that have the skills that we're looking for the right budget and for the right price, obviously. Okay, so we did talk about recognizing the problem, and once again, like in boxing, you can find the opening and you need to know how to respond really quickly, but first you need to recognize that you got the opening. MMA, it could be a weak leg that you can continue and try to kick, or if you know about your opponent's weakness, or you find that he's weak in some certain way, you can take advantage over it. In the business we talk about this, but there is traditional business, there is so much variety, so it's almost impossible to address all of them. But if you have like a store, make sure that you have the stock, make sure that you have the right stock, and always check like what's going on. So that will be enough for that. And also in business, you should consider also to remember that there is new trends and a business sometimes, so some kind of business also in what I'm dealing now, like in food industry, you just need to make sure that you make the same food all the time, or you import cans of fish or whatever it is that you import in, and it's basically remain the same, and that's very, very convenient. But when you are in the fashion industry, you always have to worry. I don't like the fashion industry, and I'm in this industry, and it's very versatile and it's not stable, and every time things change and you need to spit blood in order to make money, which that's what I'm pretty much having. So I was even starting to think maybe to open a different business, taking the family business to a different direction, that we will have more stability and we will have like a much better chances to profits, especially if we take different partners, that I will make the import, for example, and my other partners, some of them will invest the money and some of them will manage the physical big store. We're talking about like I don't know, like maybe 2,000 square meter place, which is really, really big, and we need to invest a lot of money, but everybody need to do something, and everybody need to be predicted in what he do. So I can deal with the import, another guy can deal with the running the store properly, another guy can deal with the security element, because nowadays any business that you do traditionally, you really must to sit on the camera and understand how things go and how everything operate. Even if your business is successful, it's pretty much obvious that if you look at the camera, you might see things that you don't like, stealing from you, employees that doesn't respond. So it's very, very important, I think, to use this important tool. And I also have a lawyer, and we're signing now the employees to know that we are liable to use those cameras in order to manage them better. So I will give you a quick example. Let's say that there is 20 or 30 people entering the shop every day. You need to make sure that your employee is approaching to them, trying to like a 2 meter or 3 meter distance, saying hi, and give them the opportunity to understand that they can get service. Now, if the employee is doing it only 50 or 60% instead of 80-85%, you will see a dramatic drop in the sales, because people don't like that the salesperson will get stick to them. But just show him just some respect and be ready in case that they do need help, instead of looking at your phone or maybe sitting behind the desk and not creating even eye contact. I'm talking about those sort of stuff. So it's really, really, really important. I hope that you enjoy. Like always, I'm always exceeding my time, but I'm not gonna make like another video. I'm too tired. Forgive me for that. So I hope it was good enough. I wish you have a pleasant evening.